Welcome to the Blame on the Boogie podcast. We just three brothers today from East St. Louis, as we call the East Boogie, just come to you talking a little thing about called sports. Today we have with me to D Almighty Dorian Anthony Brown, the Wonder Mouse from Richmond, California. We have DOOZE. Antoine Williams from Florissant, Missouri. And, of course, you have me, Rod D, right here in Detroit, Michigan. We're going to start like we always do because D want to do it.
We're back. We're back.
Well, like Chris Berman, the fastest 2 minutes in sports.
The fastest 2 minutes in sports. Tell us what we talked about last week.
Don't get us sued. I was just kidding, Boomer. I was just kidding. So we talked about in the NBA, we talked about a number of topics. We talked about the Raptors hiring Darko Rakovic as their new head coach. Rajokovic, sorry. Thank you for that, Mr. Hippocracy.
Yeah, tomato.
We talked about Zion Williamson and his problem. Or maybe he's not having problems. Depends on how you look at it. We also talked about the NBA draft, which we'll actually get into again, about whether or not it was weak or strong. We're going to talk about Chris Paul because the trade did end up happening. We talked about the Stanley Cup Finals. Once again, gave a shout out to Vegas for winning the Stanley Cup after 6 years of existence. In NCAA football, I think we'll get into a little bit of that today. There was some major breaking news, which kind of comes with another topic. We talked about Prime, whether you love him or hate him, but right now we praying for you, Coach Prime, with the blood clots and all that kind of stuff. We certainly hope you are all right. We need to have you around for this college football season. We really do. We talked about the XFL, well, more football, I guess, if you consider we put the XFL and the NFL. We talked about the XFL, the financial woes of the league, the NFL. We talked about OTAs. We're going to talk again about some free agents. We're going to talk again about some other things that happened in the NFL, relevant to some stuff that was happening in the NBA. Some more gambling. We'll get into. I think there's some more gambling stuff that came out again. And then we actually talked about tennis for a second, talking about whether or not the Joker, as he's called in tennis, Novak Djokovic, whether he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. That was a nice little debate. We talked about horse racing, interestingly enough. Not necessarily the sport itself, but just the fact of all these horses that have been dying lately. And then we also got back into talking about the Cardinals, as we usually end up talking about the Cardinals being terrible. But
we ain't talking about them today, though.
We didn't talk about
it's nothing to talk about.
And the last thing we talked about, well, not necessarily the last thing, but the last thing on the recap, we talked about Angel Reese and her appearance in the Lotto video.
Okay, D.
All right.
So today we're gonna have a good show today. We're gonna get right down into it. We're gonna start off with the NBA because this past week, NBA, last week, crowned their champion for the year in the form of the Denver Nuggets. They won the series 4-1 against the Miami Heat. Jokic was the NBA's Joker, was the NBA Finals MVP.
Should have been regular season MVP.
Did he actually get a triple-double? Did he average a triple-double, or was it close?
You got me on that one. Let me check.
Yeah,
I think it was close.
I know it was close. I don't know if he actually got to the triple-double, but whatever the case was, the brother was balling. So we want to congratulate Denver on their win, their first championship. We also want to talk about real quick Ja Morant, because Commissioner did levy his suspension on Ja, and I just want to know what y'all thought about it. Adam Silver gave him a 25-game suspension. This is on top of the 8-game suspension they gave him for the first incident. Even though, in those 25 games, he's going to lose $7.6 million. What do you think let's just say this. Was the
punishment fit the crime?
Was the punishment, did the punishment suit the crime, D? If you consider it a crime, but go ahead.
Yes. Right. I would say yes. I thought it would be half a season. I wouldn't have been surprised if it had been half a season. I would have felt if it had been half a season, I would not have felt that was excessive at all. At this point, he missing a third of the season, right? With the 25 games or whatever. So let's just hope that he learns from this. That's all I can really say is, I really hope that he learns from this. So he can move on, man. So he can really get back into playing basketball. Number one, if that's the game that he loves, as everybody always says, I get back to the game I love. Well, if that's what you truly love, then you'll do what's necessary in order to be able to play it. Forget the money at a certain point. Mm-hmm. At this point right now, it's about really trying to get yourself better. If it's about mental health, then hey, go ahead and do that. Get that together so you can come back and be on the court. So we can see you on the court. We all want to see you on the court and not mixed up with this stupid stuff. And hopefully, even more than that, this is a lesson for these younger people. And not even necessarily the younger cats that's coming into the league, but these young people that are out here and understanding, that all of your actions have consequences, right? And you really have to be wary of the kinds of things that you do, because it could jeopardize other things that you're really trying to do. But hey, everybody get caught up in the street life, man, or trying to get caught up in the street life. So,
What about you, dudes? What you think about it?
Actually, I thought it would be more as well. I thought it'd be half. Being from the military, I wanted it. I thought it'd be helpful to have a more harsh punishment. To actually, so he could actually feel the consequences of his action. Because I didn't think he's taking it serious. Still don't. I don't know. I think a lot of it is immaturity, but I don't think he really took it serious. And the slap on the wrist, I think, hurt more than helped the first time. Right. So I thought, but like I said, I hate to see something bad happen to anybody. So I'm hopeful that he'll use the 25 games to get himself right, get his mind right, and come back prepared. Like Dorian was saying, it sends a bad message to his fans and followers. Here in St. Louis, they had on the news today, it was like 4 or 5 kids, looked like they were like 14, 15, and they're posing with guns, with extended clips or whatever. And there was a big shooting, and all their faces looked like the faces from the kids that did the shooting last weekend downtown St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So, they're asking the public if they know if they recognize these people and call in or whatever. But right. It's affecting our youth. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, I think it's more of an immaturity thing, but, he needs to understand that, he's a public figure and he's a hero to a lot of youth, and he needs to carry himself,
accordingly.
Carry himself as such, as a role model.
Mm-hmm. So one of Charles Barkley's famous sayings was, "He's no role model."
Man, bro, we was both thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
but
you are by default.
But the thing is, I don't care if you can claim you're not a role model, but you are.
Yeah,
because these kids are looking up to you because, well, first off, they see you on TV every day. That's the first thing. Second thing, with social media, they see you on their phones every day. So you're a role model, whether you want to be or not.
Yeah, they're buying your shoes
and
jerseys.
The buying your shoes, buying your jersey, buying your drinks. Well, when he had the thing with Gatorade or what have you. But he's a role model, whether he likes it or not. And with this big fat contract that you got comes responsibilities. Now you can claim, hey man, I want to live my life, blah blah blah, but you can't. Right? That's the trade-off. You got the money. Now you need to act like the way that will benefit our franchise and this league. So I'm with you on both of y'all. I hope that these 25 games will allow him to look within himself and realize that, you know what, I can still have my fun, but I don't need to, glorifying gunplay is just not, that's not where I need to go. That's not what I want to do. And he knows it. He just, one of those things. But there comes a point when you got to stop saying, he's immature. Yeah, he's 23 years old. At 23, you can vote. you can go to war. You can do a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
So you're not a little kid anymore. You're not 18, 19 years old. You're 23 years old.
And you're in a grown man league. This is a grown man league. You're getting paid handsomely. Getting
paid like a grown man. Although his contract did go down quite a bit because he didn't, make those incentives. But that's neither here nor there. But he needs to understand that, hey, you're a role model, whether you like it or not, and you need to present yourself as one. As far as the suspension, I still think it was a little too light, but I mean, I'll roll with it. And I understood why he went with 25 games because technically he didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't commit a crime.
The first time, he was in a club with a gun. That's different, right? This time he was in his car and flipped up a gun. All right, it technically is not illegal, so I understood why he went with the 25 versus the more harsh, like we were talking about, half the season.
Oh yeah, and then we also have to factor in the part about it where the league actually needs him. He puts the butts in the seats for the Memphis team, and whenever he goes to, so that's we got to factor that part into it too. So you say half the season, and then you put that part in there, and it takes it down about 25 games.
Yeah, that's the thing. Memphis needs him to try to win this championship. So you know what? We're gonna pivot from that because Memphis did something. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's just go ahead and put all our NBA topics together. Also this week we had the NBA draft.
And Djokovic averaged 30, 14, and 7 assists and 1.4 steals in the finals. Okay, so sorry. Go ahead.
He said 30 and 14.
30, 14, 7, and 1 point, almost 1.5 steals.
Yeah, Joker was balling.
Yeah.
Definitely deserving. Yeah. Since we talked about him, real quick.
We talked about it, so that's why I went and found the stats. So all right.
Yeah, before I go to the NBA draft, let me ask you this question right quick. It's actually pertaining to the draft. But I heard earlier today, the question was if San Antonio received a phone call from Denver offering Joker for the number 1 pick, would you do it?
No,
absolutely not.
No.
But why not though?
No.
This is supposed to be a transitional player. We're talking about Wembanyama. He's supposed to be this transitional player. He's supposed to be the greatest player since LeBron. So you wouldn't trade.
So was Ralph Sampson.
Exactly. What is that? Bird in the hand beats 2 in the bush.
Go with the one you know. Go with the one you know.
Joker's the man right now.
But what's funny,
and a championship ring on one finger is worth more.
And 2 MVPs.
Right, is worth more than a rookie coming into the league.
Yeah. And 2 MVPs.
With a naked finger.
What was funny is that most people were saying, yes. I mean, I'm sorry, go back. Most people were saying they're going to keep Wembanyama. They didn't want to trade for Joker. So I found it to be rather interesting. I wouldn't do it.
If they had a franchise and they had money on the line, I think their answer would be a lot different.
I'm keeping Joker. I mean, Joker's only 27 years old? It ain't like he's old.
I think 28. I think he's 28.
27, 28. Whatever the case, he's still like,
but the way he played, he can play for a while because he's not using superb athleticism.
Yeah. Right. Yep. He jumping about as high as you do.
You got jokes. Let's get to the NBA draft.
Do that to move along, huh?
Oh yeah, we're gonna move on after that one. But Dino, I still cross him up. So the number one pick.
Don't talk about that.
Right there. The number one pick in the draft was Victor Wembanyama. He went to San Antonio as expected, even though they stole that pick from the Pistons. That's neither here nor there. But then the intrigue started at number 2. Charlotte had number 2, and they went with Brandon Miller. So now, if you look at the team, Brandon Miller was the best pick. He fit the team. He was what they needed at that particular spot. But the funny thing about it, the fans were booing the mess out of that pick. The fans of Charlotte were booing the mess out of that pick because they wanted Scoot Henderson. So, dudes, what do you think? Was Brandon Miller the best pick, or should they went ahead and went with Scoot?
Well, initially I was saying Brandon Miller, but the more I thought about it, and because I was saying beforehand, that I thought Scoot was, one of the better players. But one thing I can say is I did not envy Charlotte having to make that choice, because we know from experience, with the Michael Jordan situation when he came out, it seems like using history as a as a what you call it, as a point of reference, using history. It seems like going with the best possible player is probably the best move. But they do have LaMelo Ball, they have Terry Rozier, so they didn't really need Scoot. So I believe Brandon Miller was the best choice. But man, Scoot is his talent. I see a Russell Westbrook type talent in him.
But see, to me, it was a no-brainer to get Brandon Miller. I thought, again, this is my opinion. I heard somebody say this, and I thought this was the dumbest thing that I had heard anybody say on the radio. They said, well, it came down to, what a team need versus the best player available. And whenever you have a team need versus the best player available, you go with the best player available. What? If this was what I need, I'm going to go get what I need because I'm trying to win. If this is what I need, again, if it's not something that I really feel like I need, or if I'm just at one of those places where I just need to take the best player available, then yeah, you take the best player available, if you understand what I'm saying.
But I'm gonna tell you what scares me about it, D. What scared me about it was because Michael Jordan's at Charlotte, and so it makes you think about Portland didn't need Michael Jordan because they had Clyde Drexler. And so that kind of shook me up. Like, well, do I want to go with Scoot? Because I feel like Scoot's the more talented player. But yeah, I think Brandon Miller fits. Because I watched a lot of Charlotte. Brandon Miller fits.
Exactly. I know you watch a lot of Charlotte. Yeah. But see,
based on the team. Good.
But even I'm just saying, even to go back in history, the team need, when you think about Portland. Everybody who says that now is looking at this in retrospect.
Exactly.
There was nobody that was saying that then that they should have took Michael Jordan over Sam Bowie, because they knew that from what Sam Bowie was at Kentucky,
in college,
right? What he was in Kentucky, he was going to come to Portland and make them a contender.
And then what Michael Jordan was in North Carolina, he wasn't, he wasn't Michael Jordan.
He wasn't nobody knew he was going to be Michael Jordan. So again, I still go with player need. And they needed Brandon Miller from what has happened for them the past couple of years. He's a need for them and a good player. So my bad, right? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, especially losing Miles Bridges as well,
Exactly.
Filling that gap.
Exactly.
So that was my point right there, dudes. The fact that Miles Bridges wasn't there, they already have a point guard, and they have another guard that can actually shoot also. What's the boy name that came from Boston? You know what I'm talking about? Rozier, Terry Rozier.
What are you talking about? The small forward.
You said what?
You talking about? Rozier?
No, Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier. Okay. So drafting Scoot would have been just a duplicate of what they already had. And Scoot needs the ball because Scoot can't shoot. So he's going to have the ball in his hand, but that's what LaMelo does. LaMelo has to have the ball. So that was going to be the problem. So that's why Brandon Miller was the best choice for them. And the thing is, what's funny is Brandon Miller was always considered the number 2 player in the draft anyway. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, now it's a horrible pick. But for like I said, what y'all just repeat what y'all said, for what Charlotte needed, Brandon Miller was the best. And at the end of the day, all those fans that were booing him gonna be the same fans that are cheering him when he's in the first team all rookie, because he has that talent. We wanted the Pistons to trade up to try to get him. But now Scoot going to Portland, that's the next pick. Mm-hmm. Scoot number 3 went to Portland, which is going to cause a problem now, because their superstar point guard Dame Lillard didn't want them to use the draft pick. He wanted them to trade that pick to get some veterans, because he want to win right now. He's what, 31, 32? How old is he? 32?
Yeah, I think he's 32.
Yeah, so 33. Dame has been faithful to Portland. He hasn't requested a trade. He was trying to get them to build a team around him. He wanted to be the one that brought people to him versus him leaving, going somewhere else. But I think Portland is going to test that right now, because they did go ahead and they drafted Scoot, who happens to be a point guard. So again, that can't shoot, but he's athletic. I mean, he has all the athleticism ever. Like you said, he's like Russell Westbrook in that respect. But now Portland has a decision to make. D, are you trading Dame, or are you gonna try to placate him and get some vets in?
No, I said this, and I wish we had done this on draft night, so I wouldn't feel like I'm repeating what I heard the pundits say. But in conversations that we've had, I said if they draft Scoot, it's bye Dame Lillard, because they're the exact same player, the exact same height. If you try to play both of them, now Dame can play off the ball, yes. Yeah.
Only difference is Dame can shoot.
Yeah. But if you try to play both of them at the same time, who gonna play defense?
And then you also got Simons,
and that's the problem.
He's a handful. He could play.
That's the problem. You got Simon on there too.
But you got 3 guys that play similar games,
and all of them 6'2".
And all of them 6'2". So you have nobody to be able to guard 6'5", 6'7", 6'7", 6'6", that kind of thing. So they're the exact same player, and you don't draft him at number 3 to come now be the point guard to lead your second unit.
Be the backup. Yep.
Be the backup. You draft him to come start. So it said to me right there that Portland was on a rebuild, and so now it's time to see if I can package Dame. But really, I'm trying to package Dame for we got a new CBA, so I'm packaging him, trying to get rid of salary. I'm packaging him to get some draft picks. I want some draft capital, and I want some expiring contracts.
Okay, so who do you foresee? So let me go back to this. So today, social media is just you can get everybody's thoughts off of social media,
right?
So today, Dame did a IG post, and in the background he was playing Will Smith, "Welcome to Miami." So now he still hasn't requested a trade, but that's what he got in the background. So then, Jimmy Butler did an IG post, and Jimmy Butler had Dame's song played in the background, saying "Welcome," trying to get Dame a hint. Come on down here to Miami. What would Miami look like with Dame? What do they got to give up?
Okay, you got to give up. Well, you got to give up some first round draft picks.
Yeah, but they know they're gonna get picks up. So.
But it don't matter. Yeah, they're gonna be toward the end anyway, so they almost like second round picks. Because if I'm getting Dame, we win it. I think if I'm Dame, if I'm trying to get Dame, Duncan Robinson,
Yeah,
Tyler Hero, and some draft picks. That's the and I'm probably also trying to get a big.
Mm-hmm.
I think
they're not giving up Bam though.
Don't Larry?
No.
I'm
saying Miami. I'm talking about Miami needs.
Don't Larry has a nice contract on this. You might be able to get up Kyle Lowry. I think he got a nice contract. I think you can get off his contract.
But if anybody, if I'm Portland, I see what you're saying. Yeah, if I'm Portland, I take Lowry.
But is that enough though? Kyle Lowry is at best 10 points a game now.
But we said. We're talking about his money, his contract. He got a lot.
But it don't matter. If I'm Portland, I'm taking him because now he's there. He gonna school Scoop. That's gonna be his mentor or whatever.
And I think Lowry might be in the last year of that contract too. That big contract he had.
Let's see. But again, I hear you in the contract wise, but I don't see the talent. You didn't give me no talent. You already said I'm getting low first round draft picks, right? Where is it?
Well, he said Hero is valuable to Miami because they really, they don't want to get rid of him.
You'd have to give up Hero. That he'd have to go first.
Yeah, I mean, Hero. That's why I said Robinson.
They go. I ain't taking Duncan Robinson. If I'm Portland, I'm not taking Duncan Robinson.
I think actually he'll be valuable to them because they could use a shooter.
But that contract, that contract he got, man. If you're going into a rebuild, I don't want a $25 million second string shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue with Kyle Lowry. If Kyle Lowry has an expiring contract, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think he does. Let me see.
I can roll with that.
Now, Duncan Robinson becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2026.
Ooh, so he still got 3 more years.
And he just got that.
Ooh, and he's at what, $20 million a year, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is he? Kyle Lowry signed
$85 million contract.
$85 million contract with the Raptors in.
It don't say what year then.
It said he'll get paid 29.6 million in 23-24.
So that's next year. We got 1 more year.
Mm-hmm.
1 more year, yeah.
Okay, so that's a $29 million expiring contract. That's valuable. Okay,
yeah, mm-hmm.
That's valuable because I think Dame is what, at 50 or pretty close to 50?
I think so. Yeah.
So that you'd have to have him and Hero.
So Larry and Hero.
And then you got to give me at least 3 first round picks. And a couple pick swap. Again, I would go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you ain't, like I said, you put Duncan Robinson out there. I ain't taking Duncan Robinson. That defeats my whole purpose. I won't be taking Duncan Robinson, but I'll take Hero because Hero can actually play. You got Scoop. Actually, he's what? I think Hero is what, 6'5"?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he is.
So he's a much bigger guard. So now you got a little size in the backcourt. So I can roll with that. And I think I'm pretty sure that's where Dame wants to go. And I'm pretty sure Portland is going to try as best they can to give Dame what he wants because of how long he's been there and how much he means to him, so on and so forth. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's still a business. So if somebody comes and say, I'm gonna give you 5 first round draft picks and Zion Williamson, he might be in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna try as best they can.
Made a joke there. I caught myself. I almost made a joke. Sorry, Zion.
All right. So the next thing that happened in the draft, we're still in the draft. You had 4 and 5 go that made history.
The twins.
The Thompson twins. A man in a sword.
What was the song? By the Thompson twins?
Me now.
Oh,
stay with me. Why don't you stay with me?
That loving song. All right. Y'all going? You getting off?
Okay. We went back. We was in the 80s, boy. We went there.
You know, hey, I like that. I like that little falsetto right there, dude. That was nice.
Yeah, I've been practicing. I've been trying to I've been trying to sing Dorian's parts.
But you had the Twins go 4-5. The highest Twins have been drafted. It's not the first time Twins have been drafted back to back. That was actually the Morris Twins. They got drafted back to back. But they were much lower. I think they were second round.
Yeah, much lower. Yeah.
But this is the first time two Twins have been drafted back to back in the lottery. There's a lot, there's a lot of, that's one of those things. Oh, this is the first, you can make it the first of anything. First time Twins been drafted in the top 10, the top 5.
The next generation stats is the first time 2 6'9" twins have been drafted that were 2 minutes apart at birth
on a Tuesday.
Right.
So yeah, but the interesting thing was the Pistons selection of Asur Thompson. Now the Pistons have Cade Cunningham that's coming back from injury. They have Jaden Ivey that is had a pretty good rookie season. He still needs to learn how to play defense, but he had a pretty decent rookie season. But they have no shooters whatsoever. I'm sorry, correction. They have one shooter, and that's Bogdanovich.
Yeah,
he's the only one on the team that can shoot over 35% from three. And you draft the one player as talented as he is,
that can't shoot.
What? I don't understand it. There was a need. There was a player that was there that filled a need for him that could actually shoot and is a hell of a player, and that was Hendricks out of UCF,
Central Florida.
Taylor Hendricks is a baller. 6'9.5", can shoot the three at 40%, rebounds, plays defense, does it all. But because you got 15 other bigs, you decide not to go after him. But those 15 other bigs you have can't shoot, don't rebound, don't do nothing. So you would have been able to get a guy that's 6'9" that can play the 3 or the 4, and you need a 3. He can play the 3 or the 4, and play defense and shoot. I was highly upset that they did not draft Taylor Hendricks. I thought he was a much better fit for them. I thought he was a much better player. The issue I have with the Thompson twins is their level of competition.
Yeah, I was looking at that myself.
They played against they played in the overtime elite or whatever, which is basically just high school kids that didn't go to college.
Right.
They're not high ranking high school kids that didn't go to college. They're just enough kids to fill a roster so they can play some games. So the level of competition wasn't there. Yeah, it doesn't do you any good to dominate the junior varsity. What you gonna do against these pros? So that was my issue with them. And saying that, you playing against this JV squad and you still can't shoot. How is it you can't score? Against these JV people. So that's my issue with the Pistons draft pick. I was thoroughly confused by that. Staying on the Pistons, they did come right back into the second part of the second half of the draft. They traded with your boys, dudes, and got another first round pick and picked Sasser out of Houston, the point guard out of Houston, who is another player that doesn't really have a high shooting percentage, but he's good on defense. He can score. He's a scorer. He's not a shooter. He's a straight scorer. But he's 6'2". So, I don't know how much you're going to get out of him. There were still other players that they could have gotten. The only issue, the issue was the day of the draft, Detroit's GM got on the news, got on the radio, and said he doesn't shoot for singles. He's a long ball hitter. So he's looking for the long ball. And then you go get a project in a Seward Thompson. Made absolutely no sense. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully, there's some other stuff that he's gonna do during the trade.
Yeah, maybe got a deal brewing or something.
Yeah, maybe got something going. So you got to hold, for the most of it, you got to hold serve. But he better show something real quick. Otherwise, he's gonna be some very upset people here in Detroit.
But something you said brings up another question that I had, or maybe not another question, a concern.
Okay,
right. You were talking about the level of competition in talking about the Thompson twins or whatever, but it's something that I noticed as somebody that we've been following college basketball, for a long time, and pro basketball for a long time since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed that, man, I didn't know a whole lot of these players.
Me neither.
I remember when we started, when the European players kind of started getting drafted, and we were all kind of like, okay, well, who is this? Mm-hmm. Well, who is that? Who is this guy? But now you got people. You think about the fact that out of the top 5 draft picks, only one of them
went to
played college basketball,
and that was for 1 year.
And then out of the top 7. Only 2 of them played college basketball, right? So what's happening here? Are we starting to have a situation like college baseball? Is kind of college basketball kind of starting to go the way of the dodo because of that dumb idea that all of a sudden I'd rather have a 19-year-old player than a 22-year-old player, when it used to be the exact opposite. They wanted the players that had been in college until they were in their 20s. They thought they were going to be more mature and so on and so forth. And now we've gotten to the point where now, if you're 22, you're too old. We want you at 18 and 19, now to come into the league. And so now they're not even going to college. Mm-hmm. They're like, why do the one and done in college when I can go get paid to play and then end up getting drafted? So now we're getting to this point where we're going to have to do some real in-depth research and study to know who these players are that are coming to the league, because they're not showing. Haven't been able to see any of these G League games.
What was real funny, D? In the draft, I noticed I think it was like 2 players in the whole first round that actually had 2 years of college. In the whole first round. So, and what you got in the second round were your players that played 4 years of college, 4 years of college ball.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, right, it has completely flip flopped.
And then, like we talk about all the time, I mean, pretty much the consensus 3 best players in the NBA are foreigners: Joker, Giannis, and Embiid.
Right. Well, all the college players that got all of the press and that we consider good college players, well, people like Drew Timme, he didn't even get drafted from Gonzaga. He went completely undrafted. Mm-hmm. So it's just crazy, how this is what this is turning into.
Timme had some other issues, man. He measured a lot smaller than you thought he was.
Oh, he's only 6'7" instead of 6'10".
Yeah, exactly. So and he's slow and can't really jump, not athletic. So I understand. Now he'll get picked up. He'll play during the summer league and be on somebody's roster next year. But that's just one of the ones that have to
hit the pause button, Rod.
Yeah. Go ahead, dudes. I cut it. I cut it.
Look, I still got my headphones on, so I can still hear the conversation.
All right.
That was
action. We want to welcome dudes back
from the depths of the abyss.
So we just finished talking about the drafts. What we want to talk about real quick is, who do you think did well in the draft, and who do you think didn't do so well in the draft? D?
Well, this goes back to my point. I don't know who none of these cats are. So
it looked like a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds.
Right. So it's like, honestly, don't know. I think it's really difficult right now to say who won and who lost. I think because honestly, after the top two, you can definitely say the Spurs won for what we know.
Yeah.
Charlotte, from what we think, I have thought about, from what we've thought about,
Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller. I don't know why I was having a brain fart. What we thought about Brandon Miller all year, even when we were talking about the NCAA tournament, we talked about how Bama was going to be good because of him.
Mm-hmm.
We've known about Scoot, but other than that, who did we? I can't speak for y'all, but I didn't really know about any of them. The players I thought would be good, like a Marcus Sasser, who we talked about in the NCAA tournament. Look how far down he went. Other players. So for me, it's really hard to say who won and lost, other than the first three. After the first three, I'm really at a loss.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
That's pretty much the consensus.
Well, so
I think like you said, Charlotte, that situation depends on I think the coaching, because last year I think they didn't have any direction. They were like all over the place. It was like everybody just jacking up threes, and I actually like the players on Charlotte,
right?
But, it seemed like everybody was just jacking up threes. There was no rhyme or for no rhyme or reason, and it seemed like to be no strategy involved. So I mean, if you get a coach in there and actually give them some direction, and actually defines the roles that the players have, then I believe Brandon Miller fit in perfectly with Charlotte. Scoop depends on what ownership decides they want to do with Dame Lillard. If they got Scoot in order to make other moves, and then I can understand that. But if they're trying to pair him with Dame, then I don't know how that's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So mine. Well, I've told y'all my frustration with the Pistons, and I'm not even a Piston fan. I just follow the Pistons. I'm a Knicks fan, but we didn't even participate yesterday. So
I know you really frustrated then.
It didn't even matter. We didn't participate. But there was one team that I was like kind of confused about, and that was the Orlando Magic. Orlando had two draft picks in the first round. They had number 6. They had the 6th pick, and where's the other one? Where's Orlando?
And the 11 pick.
6 and 11. 6 and 11. So you would think they would get, two very good, good players or whatever to go along, because Orlando actually has a pretty decent team.
Mm-hmm.
They were balling last year at the end of the season. They were
albeit young, but yeah,
they're all young. It was up and coming team. You would think that they would try to, package those draft picks and try to get a nice veteran to improve their team, so they can go ahead and actually go to the playoffs and try to win some playoff games. But they decided to keep the picks, and they drafted a 6'7" point guard out of Arkansas, Anthony Black, who he only thing I can say about it, he's 6'7", and he's a point guard. I don't
remember. A lot.
I watched Arkansas a little bit. I knew more of what's his name, Nick Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nick Smith
than Anthony Black. But again, it goes back to that what D was talking about. Man, we don't know these folks. But the one player I do know that they drafted was Jet Howard out of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Jet Howard, he's
Jawan's
6'8".
boy.
Jawan's boy, he's 6'8". All he does is shoot. He doesn't play any defense. He doesn't try to rebound the ball at 6'8". He doesn't do none of that. He shoots a lot, but he don't hit. He's only shooting like 35% from 3. That's not what a number 11 draft pick should be. And then where is he going to play? Orlando,
especially a young team with a lot of shooters.
a young team with a lot of shooters, but they already have. They got Jalen Suggs. They got
Cole Anthony. They got Markelle Fultz.
You got all these other guards, and then you drafted another guard at number 6, and come back with another guard at number 11.
And the guards that they have, those are scoring guards, by the way.
Yes, yes. So, I was highly confused by Orlando. What their direction, which direction they're trying to go with this. And of course, I'm mad my Knicks didn't try to trade back up and get it. Here's the thing: it would cost you $4 million to buy a low first round draft pick. Buy it. You got the money. Buy it. Give us some players. Give me somebody, man. Do something. Make me feel like you actually trying.
Hey, hit that sound effect again for the pack.
Like, come on, man. You gotta stick this. I'm here like this. Just twiddling my thumbs. We ain't doing nothing. Didn't make any trade. We had all these high hopes for all these trades to come down. They didn't do jack. So I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in my Knicks. They didn't even have any pick. You gotta stop it, D. It's gonna keep going. That's
you need it all over. But he said he wasn't gonna talk about the Knicks.
No, I said we're gonna talk about the Cardinals.
When he get upset, it's gonna come out anyway.
I just said I wasn't gonna talk about the Cardinals.
He can't help it.
So they got to do something, man. Because look, man, we got to the second round of the playoffs with smoke and mirrors. We need an actual team that can compete. But I'll save that for when free agency starts. Another thing that happened in the draft, and it's the last part for the draft, and that's these ugly ass wardrobes that these players is wearing.
That's not what is. It's getting worse and worse. Now, hold up. Before I say that, the Twins was clean.
Yes, they were. The
Twins was clean.
Yeah.
Both those suits that they had on, that cream and the blue, was nice. Maybe we just conservative.
And Brandon Miller was nice too. His suit was nice.
Brandon Mills was nice. But Scoot come out looking like the Rhinestone Cowboy. And then Grady Dick come out looking like he was a member of Devo back in the 80s, the old rock group playing electronic music with that sequin with shoulder pads.
I thought he was a pimp.
And what was it? Was it a mock tee? Was it a turtleneck?
Or something like that, man.
From Fort Wide.
Man, Grady Dick's uniform. His outfit was the worst thing I've seen since Jalen. It was horrible. But he wasn't the only one. Everybody come out there, no socks with the pants. They come up to the knees.
The one guy didn't have on a shirt.
No shirt.
He just had on the suit, no shirt.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. And everybody got a 15-inch necklace.
Mm-hmm.
With diamonds on it.
You ain't got your first check yet. But you gonna go out there and spend $250,000 on a necklace. You ain't got your first check yet.
The best thing ever was Eli Apple's mother.
Yep.
When he went to the draft and he was about to have on a Rolex, and she told him, "Oh no, you will not." She said, "You are an unemployed college dropout. You will not go up there in a Rolex and a $20,000 chain, and you are unemployed college dropout." I was like, "All right,
amen."
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. But the fashion, yes,
man,
that was over the top, man.
It's getting out of hand.
That was over the top.
Blame it on James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, they fit right into the league with the rest of the crazy.
Hey, don't forget about
rest of the clown suits.
Don't forget about Kyle Kuzma now.
Listen, I don't even want to talk about Kyle Kuzma.
You got to put Kyle Kuzma in there too. Now he again back to John. Y'all role models, man. Y'all role models. y'all, you're making it. That ain't acceptable.
You're right.
Nobody. It's horrible. All right. One more NBA topic. We had some monster trades this week. It started off with Washington trading Bradley Beal to Phoenix for a package that included Chris Paul, like 4 second-round picks and some pick swaps. And I think it was another player or so, whatever. Anyway, but they traded Bradley Beal. So now Phoenix has 4 players that make over $35 million and no bench. No other players on the roster right now. So they got to figure out how they're going to field the team.
Boxing none.
They got to figure out how they're going to field the team.
They got Cameron Payne over there.
They got 3 great players and a DeAndre Ayton.
So
Yeah,
Cameron Payne is the guy that walked in and said, "I got next." There's nobody else sitting waiting.
yeah. So Cam gonna be the starting point by default. But hey, let him go. But Washington didn't stop there. Washington then traded Chris Paul to, of all teams, the Golden State Warriors. And they got what's the brickhead name? Wow.
Jordan Poole.
They got Jordan Poole, a first-round draft pick, and a second-round draft pick. Now, why they got to give up Poole and picks for Chris Paul? I don't know, but it was some crazy stuff going on. But that they did get that, and then the other trade, and we're gonna go back and talk about all these trades. We'll just put them all out there. The other trade was the Green folks in the city that we don't like. But love. That traded their starting point, Marcus Smart, to Memphis. Memphis traded Tyus Jones. Is it Tyus?
Tyus Jones.
Yeah. They traded Tyus Jones to Washington, and then Washington traded Kristaps Porzingis, who opted into his contract, to the Boston Celtics. So let me ask y'all this question. Which team helped themselves out the most? You got Boston.
Look, we wasn't ready for that question.
Golden State. You got Phoenix.
That's a good one.
You got Washington, and you got Memphis. So who helped themselves out the most?
If we aside from not having anybody else to come in off the bench.
Yeah, aside from that, which
team? Aside from
no, you have to include that though, D.
But I'm saying aside from I'm saying if they could just play 5 players the entire season, like we had to with me, you, Bo, Binky, and Fatty in the 6 foot under league, if they had to do that, Phoenix. But we know that they can't do that.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest with you, I think that it's Memphis. I think with Ja, with not going to be there for 25 games, with they already saying that they not bringing back Dylan Brooks, who was supposed to be their defensive stopper. Now you've got that defensive guy, but you also got the guy who can make up, not totally make up, but basically he can get there and kind of stabilize the team essentially in Ja's absence. So I think that Memphis did themselves the better. I really don't think Porzingis, unless he can keep from getting hurt, we need to come up with our all injured team. But unless he can keep from getting hurt. Now, if he plays and can play a little bit of defense, which I'm a little skeptical about, then it's the Celtics. But I just don't have as much faith in Porzingis as I have in Marcus Smart, honestly. Because Marcus Smart gonna play defense. You know he's gonna do that. So I think Memphis.
Who you got, D-Double? Should we even ask that question?
Well, I gotta go with, I think I'm gonna go with Memphis too. I'm hoping, Porzingis can play because I like his skill set. He's stretch big man. He can shoot. He has a great shooting touch. He's actually a real good shot blocker. So that's very helpful for the Celtics. I don't know. I'm hoping Boston makes some more moves, but I would say Memphis because of Marcus Smart. He feels a need for them. Like you said, in Ja's absence and also in Dylan Brooks. And then he's also a steadying presence as well. And, he leads by example as well by playing hard at all times. So,
So during our conversations, one of the things that we talked about with Boston is that Boston needs a floor general, a distributor of the ball. Marcus Smart is a good player. He's a great defensive player, but Marcus Smart is not a point guard. He doesn't set up the team like they need to be. And as good as Tatum is, and as good as Brown is, they'd be even better if they had someone that actually put them in the right positions to allow them to do what they do best.
Because they're horrible decision makers.
Exactly. They are horrible decision makers by themselves. When the trade first went down, I thought Boston got Tyus Jones, who I thought would have been a great pickup for them because he can do those things. He doesn't rely on just scoring. He can score, but his main job is to get everybody involved. Porzingis for Boston is a great player. I think D doesn't like his defense. He plays defense. He plays team defense. He doesn't play just man-to-man. He's not good at man-to-man defense. But when it comes to team defense, where he can come out there and, he
erases mistakes
and block the shot, he's very good at that. The health is an issue, but all of that still considered, I still think Boston, as much as I hate to say it, oh man, I hate to say it.
You can say it, right? You can say
no, I hate saying it, man.
Go ahead and say it.
But I'm trying to be true. I'm trying to be true to the question. Be true to the question.
Yeah, tell the truth.
But Boston with Porzingis is going to be very, very difficult to stop in the East. Because now they have that other scorer that's down low that they really need. So you can't clog the middle anymore. You have to be aware of Porzingis when he's out on the wing. So you can't clog the middle, which gives Tatum and
Tatum, Brown, Brogdon,
a lot more room to work with. They still need a point guard.
You playing him and Williams at the same time?
No. I'll play him and Porzingis and Horford at the same time, but not him and Williams, because Williams, I would trade Williams.
I don't want to get rid of Williams.
I would trade Williams because Williams plays less than Porzingis.
But Williams plays good defense, and then he's a great finisher. So he's one of those guys. You need guys like that.
Yeah, but I need somebody to play. But answering the question,
he's going to play this year.
Answering the question, I think Boston helped them. I think Boston actually helped themselves out the most with this. Plus, Boston also got a first round and a second round draft pick in a trade. Again, I don't understand it. No, or did they get two? No. They got 2 first round draft picks. They got 2 first round draft picks from Memphis because that was the one that they traded to Detroit, number 22. So Detroit can get Sasser, but.
So they're going to go further than the Knicks this year.
Yeah, we ain't gonna talk
about
that.
Say it with a straight face without laughing.
We ain't gonna talk about that right now. We ain't gonna talk about that right now. Although D, just on who has the best talent right now, if you're playing 4-on-4, it would be Phoenix.
Even if you're playing 5-on-5 with Cameron Payne,
true.
It's still Phoenix. They just gonna be falling out on the court during timeouts. Timeout, everybody just lay on the court.
Hey, you better start using them timeouts. You can use all of them.
And then as soon as timeout up, everybody get up, stand up, play defense.
Start using them timeouts, man.
Yeah, they're gonna tell them to rest in place.
Right.
So those 3 trades. We are looking forward to a lot more trades come July 1st when they call the legal tampering period, where teams can talk to other players that are going to be free agents. Can't sign them yet, but you can at least talk to them. So we're going to look for a lot more trades to come during that time. But no, we're still sad that the NBA season is over. Anyway, the season that's about to start is the NFL. We got training camp that's starting about a month. I don't need to ask D. Who he got. But there was a interesting question that I heard today. Your receiver, D. What's the boy name?
I already know what you're talking about. Jamar Chase.
Chase.
Oh, Patrick Who comment?
Yeah. Jamar Chase has thrown a gauntlet saying that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the league by stating Patrick Who. So, first off, was that a good thing to say, D? Do you want to poke the bear like that?
Okay. See, this is the thing. I hate when this is one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. Because the question that was asked of him was they asked Joe Burrow who was the best quarterback in the league. He said Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
They asked Jamar Chase and then told him, well, Joe Burrow said Patrick Mahomes. And he said, Patrick who? So what he was doing was saying, look, Joe, yeah, you might think Patrick Mahomes is best, but I think you're better. You my quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You my quarterback.
You doing it to Real Owens without crying. I was just about to say that, but that's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback.
That's all that was. Number one. Because come on, man. I mean, even Jamar Chase, no, dude. This cat got 2 Super Bowl rings.
Mm-hmm.
He got 2 NFL, got 2 league MVPs. Come on. I'm just rooting for my boy because this is my quarterback. And we go back to college. This has been my boy for years. So, and we playing together now. So that's everybody knows what that was. But I will say this. That remember, out of the last 4 games, we are 3-1 against the Chiefs, who happen to be my second favorite team because my mother lived in Kansas City, took my uncle to a lot of Kansas City Chiefs games, right? So I remember Patrick Mahomes when he was a rookie. I watched them. I went to a lot of games, so I'm a fan, right? But we beat them the last 3 out of 4. And if it hadn't been for that stupid penalty at the end of the game last year, we would have beat them 4 out of the last 4 with 2 of them to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, don't get me wrong. I'm giving the Chiefs all their props. I'm giving Kelsey all his props. I love Kelsey. One of the best tight ends. He definitely the best tight end in the league. One of the best tight ends to ever do it. Love Travis Kelsey. Love his game. Love his swag. I love all of that. But it's like, come on, man. You know what that was about. Y'all just trying to start something on social media.
Start it, man. Start the mess.
When Dory was talking about those last 4 games, I started singing that Brian McKnight. Should have, could have, would have, yeah.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. All right, D. Another question that came out with your team is the running back situation. Joe Mixon, who's in the last year of his contract, wants a new contract. But of course, the Bengals being the Bengals, they don't want to pay him a new contract. But you have they were considering going out on the free agent market and enticing a certain free agent running back who happened to be from Minnesota to come to Cincinnati. So the question to you again, D, who would you rather have, Dalvin Cook or Joe Mixon?
I don't know because they both of their injury histories are about the same. But if I wanted a dynamic running back, like if I then I'm taking Dalvin Cook. Definitely more exciting, more dynamic running back, can do, but they do a lot of the same. But Joe Mixon is more of a straight downhill, power running back or whatever. Whereas Dalvin Cook is a little bit more shifty. He can still run between the tackles though. So I would really kind of, if I had to take Joe Mixon, I'd stick with Joe Mixon. You know, I wouldn't, you know, but if I got Dalvin Cook, I would. But the problem is, this is the thing. In this case, it's not, I don't think it's just the Bengals. It's running backs, period. I was reading a piece where a guy, they were talking about NFL free agency, and they were talking about the running back. All of these running backs that are still out there, from Dalvin Cook to Ezekiel Elliott to Leonard Fournette, to, you know, even talking about Saquon Barkley. And they were basically talking about the market for running backs. So it's not necessarily that the Bengals don't want to pay running backs. You know, the Bengals don't want to pay nobody. Mike Brown, they never wanted to pay nobody. But it's not that the Bengals just don't want to do it. Nobody wants to pay running backs. You know, again, watching ESPN, Mina Kimes brought this up the other day. And she was like that the running back position, the salary for the running back position is the only one that has not increased. I'm sorry. Adam Schefter gave the one. It was one of the two of them was talking about it, but anyway, sorry. I forget which one, but the running back position is the only one that the salary has not increased over the last 3 to 5 years. Whereas all of the other positions, the salaries have increased except for running backs. So nobody is valuing running backs anymore. So it almost don't matter, Joe Mixon, and no matter where you go, you ain't gonna get paid.
So the thing now is, I'm gonna draft me a running back. I'm gonna use him up. If I draft him in the first round, I can use him for 5 years. I draft him second and on, I can use him for 4 years. And at the end of them 4 or 5 years, I just draft another one. I'm not giving a running back a second contract, which is the problem that these players are faced with. You look at Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley was the offense for the Giants. He did everything. He caught the passes. He ran between the tackles. He ran outside. He did everything for the Giants. But he's looking for a contract that's similar to what they gave to D-Mac. That $20 million. Well, I think D-Mac had like $18 million, something like that.
Christian McCaffrey.
It
was he got 64 mil. I think it was 4 years. I think it was 4 years, 64 million or something like that.
Okay. So but he's looking for a contract like that, and it's not out there. The Giants are telling him, listen, we're gonna pay you this $18 million for this 1 year on this franchise tag, but we're not giving you no long-term contract because we don't have to. They're giving all the money to the receivers, to the linebackers, to the defensive backs. They're not paying those running backs. So now, I mean, why would you want to be a running back? Now, if the coach tell you to go play running back, you be like, nah, put me on the offensive line. But I ain't going back there and you know, my life, your career life expectancy is what? 4 years most at max.
At running back?
Yeah.
3
years max. So, you know, it's a bad thing. Because again, you know, I grew up with Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, you know, the running backs like that. Eric Dickerson, you know, give him the ball, let him go.
That's it, and that shows you how the league has changed. There will probably never be another 2,000-yard running back.
It'll be a 2,500-yard receiver before 1,800-yard running back.
Right.
Look, it's kind of crazy that y'all brought up like those old running backs. Why was I watching the old Dolphins Super Bowl loss against the 49ers? This is early this morning.
Right. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey making $16 million this year.
16 million. Yeah. And they regretted that. That's why they traded him.
That's right. They traded him. Right.
So
right. And the thing is that that was the point that Adam Schefter and Mina Kimes were making, was that last contract that Christian McCaffrey got, which made him the highest paid running back. There hasn't been anyone else to come along in the next 3-4 years since then. Whenever he signed that, there hasn't been another one come that has gotten a better contract. where that hasn't happened with any of the other positions. Somebody else has come along and made more. There's nobody else that has gotten a new contract after McCaffrey that makes more than he does.
What did they give Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry is on this list. Derrick Henry is making $12.5 million.
Wow. And he led the league in rushing, what, 3 straight years?
He's number 4. In 2023, the highest paid running backs are Christian McCaffrey at 16, Alvin Kamara at 15, Dalvin Cook at 12.6, Derrick Henry at 12.5, then Nick Chubb at 12, Joe Mixon at 12, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley. And I think that those figures are based upon if they actually franchise tag them.
If they sign the franchise tag?
Yeah, they signed the franchise tag. Talking about Barkley and Josh Jacobs and Tony Pollard. But yeah.
Well, Pollard signed his.
Yeah. So that's the thing. They're not valuing running backs anymore, not the way that they did when we were younger, when the running backs were really the high. Remember Emmitt Smith sat out or whatever, and he was the highest paid player in the league? That's not going to happen with running backs anymore. Not happening.
So the league has definitely changed. But again, camp started in a month. And there's still some other non running back free agents that are still out there. One being one of the most dynamic receivers that's out there that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Talking about where would D Hop to next?
Right.
He ain't hop nowhere yet.
Right.
Still hadn't hopped.
But he can. I guess he can afford to at this point. But it would seem like he would want to hurry up and sign somewhere, because it's going to be somewhere new and he's going to need to go in and learn a new offense. So he would want to be there to be able to be in training camp at some point or another. But again, he waiting on that money that it doesn't look like it's going to come to him.
And he wants the contract that OBJ got from Baltimore.
Right. And
Baltimore overpaid for OBJ just to satisfy the quarterback that they had that was unsigned at the time. Right. So they had to make it look good, to show them, hey, we trying to do something. If Arizona would have released Hopkins prior to that, they probably would have signed him over OBJ, but they didn't. So it was just the timing of his release, and based on that, bro, the money ain't there. Right, the money ain't there. So I don't know what you're gonna do. Whatever it is. We always got room for you down in the Star. You can always come down there, holler at us,
Right.
So,
you
you say what?
I was just sitting here thinking, you always try to recruit people to come to the Cowboys. But to be honest with you, even though I mess with you about not wanting to hear about the Cowboys, to be honest with you, that would be great if he came down to Dallas. And it would work. It would work if he went to the Cowboys.
So with my Cowboys, we actually have cap space. Jerry miraculously has actually done well when it came to giving out contracts and maneuvering around the salary cap. He's done pretty well. We actually have money to spend this year, and he's holding it because he said he's going to extend some other contracts so you can get even more money. That being said, we have they just traded for what's my man name from Houston? Wow, he's been traded like 15 times.
Who, the receiver?
Yeah, the receiver. I can't think of his name right now. But they just traded for a receiver. Coles. Brandon
Coles. Okay.
Brandon Coles.
Okay.
They just traded for him.
I wasn't even thinking him at Houston. I always remember him with New England or the Rams.
Yeah. Oh, that's because he's been everywhere. He went from New England to the Rams, and from the Rams to Houston, and now he's with Dallas. He's been everywhere. But he's not D Hop, man. D Hop is still, he could still be a number one. He'd be better as a number two. but he can still be a number one.
Right.
He'd be a great number two, though. He'd be a great number two. So with putting him on this offense, even though the thing about it, our idiot coach said that we're going to concentrate more on running the ball versus passing the ball this year. Since now he's the one that's calling the plays. But this is not a running league anymore. We just said that.
Right.
This is not a running league anymore. You need those receivers that can get out there and spread the field, keep the defense on their heels, and drive the ball down the field. So that would be that would be the best place for him to go. I don't think going to New England is going to be good for him.
Mm-hmm.
He might get more money there, true, but he's not going to win anything in New England. So, and the other thing we need to talk about.
Stupid.
The other thing we gonna talk about, gonna put a smile on the Wonder Mouse's face. The Cincinnati Red Hot Reds have won 12 games in a row?
Yeah, we lost today though.
Oh,
we were losing to the Braves. It was last I saw it was like 7-5. Yep. They ended up beating us 7-6. We scored 2 runs in the ninth though.
They tried to come back. And
that's been the thing. Okay, sorry. I don't want to interrupt your introduction. Go ahead. Do your introduction.
Do my introduction. All right. The Cincinnati Red Hots have been balling. I have to give it to them. They're now in first place in the Central. They had a 12-game winning streak. Dorian just told us that they lost today. They have actually a history-making rookie who just made history yesterday by being the youngest player to ever hit for the cycle.
Ellie De La Cruz.
So D, what's the secret, man? And what my Cardinals need to do to steal a little bit of this mojo.
They need to keep losing. That's what they need to do. So I haven't been able to say, let me say this. Understand that the last time the Reds were in first place, this late. Now they were in first place before in April of 2021. Come on, the season just started, right?
In game 3.
Right. We were 2-1 then. Like we was undefeated, right? So, but aside from that, the Reds have not been in first place since 2012. Now, if people don't understand, I am born in Cincinnati. I grew up in East St. Louis, born in Cincinnati. My entire family still lives in Cincinnati, right, in Ohio. So I am a diehard Reds fan, a diehard Bengals fan. So I grew up, I'm a 70s baby. So before we moved to East St. Louis, I was going to Big Red Machine games, right? Still used to go home before my dad passed to go to opening day in Cincinnati. So we are loving this. I wish my dad was still alive right now. He'd be on this podcast right now just to talk about the Reds being in first place. However, this is the thing. It's always a however with the Reds. They're playing well now because these young cats are playing pretty well. Between Steer and Fraley and India, and of course we talking about the rookie De La Cruz. We got Votto back, who's also been playing well since he's come back, but he's only been back about 4 games now. So the thing is that they played well. They had a winning streak, 12-game winning streak that got snapped. Can they sustain it? We haven't made it to the All-Star break yet. They're still young, and they still the Reds. When all else fails, remember that they still the Reds. So let's just hope that they can sustain this. And, and we can really begin to see these young cats develop and really get us a contender again in Cincinnati. I could have been a contender. You know, that's what we want, man. Because the last 3 years in a row we have finished butt naked last in the Central. So the fact that we are in first place this late is great, and then we've been playing so well. So, like I said, let's just keep it up. I was talking to my little brother. Shout out to Jay Hurd.
Jason.
I was just talking to Jason earlier today. We were talking about the Reds. So yeah.
I have to give you your props right now, man. They've been balling and they've been exciting. That's the one thing that I like about it. You know, they've had some very exciting games. They never give up. They're always scrapping. They won a lot of games when they were losing.
Yeah,
they came back and won those games. So shout out to your Reds. You know, it's a little disappointing for me, who grew up as a diehard Cardinal fan, still a diehard Cardinal fan. Got the tat to show it, but we're having absolutely horrible year. To be in the playoffs last year, thinking that, you know, we really only lost Yachty. Yachty's the only one we lost. Yachty and Pujols.
Pujols, yeah.
We lost Pujols also. But this season has been just disgusting.
And he lost today in London.
They got whooped by the freaking Cubs in London. 9-1.
Now bad internationally too.
Thank you, Adam Wainwright. We appreciate that.
It was the jet lag. It was the jet lag.
Yeah. Hey, they need to stay their butt over there then. But you know, it just comes from a position of being spoiled. You know, the Cardinals are always in the thick of things. They may not win it, but they're always in the thick of things. It's been a long time when my season was over before June ended. It's been a long time. I think the last time it was like the late Willie McGee, Vince Coleman years.
Yeah, like 89.
Yeah, in the late 80s
early 90s.
Early 90s when the last time that we've been this putrid.
Yeah.
But that's just what we are. We are so putrid, man. They can't hit right now. At the beginning of the season, it was the bats were doing well and the pitching sucked.
I bet
then it was the pitching did okay and the batting sucks. Now it's the pitching is trash and the batting is even worse than that. So I don't know. It's just time. They need to go ahead and any of the players that we can trade, let's trade them. Let's get something.
Deadline.
Yeah, the deadline is in a month. Let's get something because this team is not going to be able to make up. I think we're 14 games under 500 right now, something like that. Something stupid. So I said I wasn't going to talk about my Cardinals, man. I'm not fussing.
They 14 games under 500.
You know, I'm not fussing. I'm just stating facts right now. I've given up on the season. The season is over. And which is horrible because there's still 80 some odd games left.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing to look forward to for the Cardinals. I'm only looking forward to the NFL training camp next month, and at least get to watch the greatest team on turf, the Dallas Cowboys, go ahead and try to win this next Super Bowl.
Oh Lord.
You know what it is, man. You know what it is.
Sticking with baseball, I was just thinking as I was looking up the score, even though we're not talking about Major League Baseball no more, unless college baseball, man. This LSU Florida game. So
I'm looking at that also.
Florida and LSU in the finals of the College World Series, and it is 3-3 in the bottom of the 10th. So this is a barn burner. But these teams has been playing each other all year. They all SEC final. So this should be real good because Florida had been playing well, hitting bombs, and LSU's playing well, coming off of that victory that they had, a walk-off, plus the play in the inning before. So this looked like it's turning out to be a really good College World Series.
Yeah, I've been watching this game. It's actually it's been exciting. A couple of homers, but some pretty good pitching for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll give a recap on that on our next episode.
For the next time.
By that time, it'll actually be over because it's a best of 3. So we'll probably the series will probably be over. So we'll be able to tell you who won. But with that, we've had a different episode today. Very different episode today. I did want to mention one quick thing that we didn't mention earlier, and then we'll be gone. Bob Huggins.
What you know something? It was funny that you were gonna make that transition, kind of to college and these kind of things. I was gonna do it using LSU, but you went there too, because this was gonna come up as well. So go right ahead. Go ahead.
So Bob Huggins, Hall of Fame, college basketball coach, called it quits this week.
Did he call it quits, or did somebody quit him?
It was some quitting going on.
He resigned, y'all. He resigned. So
cool.
keep the correct title. He did resign. I mean, it was a forced resignation, but it was a resignation nonetheless. So he is no longer the coach at West Virginia. This is the same Bob Huggins. Oh, the reason he's no longer the coach at West Virginia is because he couldn't put down the little nit.
Yeah, he couldn't quit.
He couldn't quit.
There was some quitting going on.
He couldn't quit fast enough. Or didn't sit there and drink a little water, as KG said.
Right.
KG said, drink a little water.
Or as Keita taught us,
drink a little water. Drink a little water. He didn't do that.
I always remember that advice from my sister. For every drink a glass of water.
Drink a little water.
Drink a glass of water.
So, but see that's the latest in transgressions by one Bob Huggins, because a month before he had the interview. D, tell us about that one.
Man, so Bob Huggins comes out.
Former Cincinnati
University of Cincinnati basketball coach, in an interview talking about the rivalry between University of Cincinnati and crosstown basketball rival Xavier, made some very homophobic, some very disparaging homophobic remarks. And we all said then, if they would have fired him, we would have completely understood. We would not have a problem with them firing him if they had. But if they didn't fire him, hey, give the man time to rehabilitate himself, that kind of thing, let him show attrition, so on and so forth. And then you go out and get a DUI. Well, what it sounds like is that they should have fired your ass the first
time.
Because you couldn't
I'm so glad we had this time together.
You couldn't wait to go do something else to go get fired. So, although I hate to say it, you deserve this one.
Yeah.
But he resigned.
It's time he go.
And I'm just glad that nobody was hurt.
Exactly.
Because he chose to go out and drink and drive. But yeah, it just goes to show that they should have fired you the first time. And y'all know I love Bob Huggins. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you deserved it.
It was time.
Yeah, it was that time. It's
so
Christmas time.
We did miss one more transgression, y'all.
Uh-oh.
That was one more transgression that occurred this week.
Stupid.
This has to be one of the stupidest things to have come across our show in particular since we started.
We need a banner that says hypocrisy.
Shut it up. So one,
you gotta set up that Mario Brothers for him too.
One Jack Jones.
There you go.
Jack Jones, the defensive back for the New England Patriots. Second-year player who actually started 8 games last year, or was it 12 games last year for the New England Patriots. Last month, Jack Jones made a statement when your boy Ja was going through his little issue. And let me tell you what he said. He said, at Ja Morant, dumb. You letting social media and your pride ruin your real money. Put them guns down and run that money up. Make one of your homies sign up for security or concealed carry if you feel like you need it that bad. But you the breadwinner. You got to start acting like it.
Yes, that's some good advice.
That was last month on
great advice.
May the 15th. That's great advice, don't y'all think?
Yeah, I think
put some guns down and worry about your money. But wait.
There's more.
There is more. So on June 18th, 2023, 33 days after his statement, the same Mr. Jack Jones, defensive back for the New England Patriots, got arrested.
No, say it ain't so.
Got arrested at the airport.
Say it isn't so. It isn't so.
Durin, tell our people what this idiot did.
This is hypocrisy at its finest.
Hypocrisy 101.
You try to board a plane with two, not one, two loaded guns. After you just got finished. This is what is called open mouth insert foot disease. Because that's basically exactly what you did. You opened your mouth and put your foot right in it. So, well, I was going to say, what was he thinking? He wasn't. It's very simple. You can't even say, "Oh, I forgot it was in my bag." Two of them loaded to get on a. They loaded.
Loaded.
Come on.
Hold on. And it wasn't even checked. It was in his carry-on.
But sometimes you need. Let me stop before we get canceled. Let me leave that joke alone.
So
let me get back. Let me go back out of that door. I was about to walk in. Let me go out.
Here's the thing, Mr. Jack Jones. I don't know how many Twitter followers you had prior to this, Mark. Because I don't think too many people knew you. Oh, he got 19,000 followers.
He need the Mario Brothers sound.
But Mr. Jack Jones, bruh, that had to be the stupidest thing we've seen all year. So, Mr. Jones, I'm gonna tell you this: from everybody here, you're gonna get canceled, if not cut, real soon. But you know what? People know him now.
He cut.
People know him now. But you were a low round draft pick that actually, you started some games last year, so you had a good future ahead. But now you're about to be suspended for a year.
This is his career.
This is your career, bro. It's gone. It's gone.
It is gone.
Here you go, D. Breaking news. Jack Jones about to get cut. Oh, I got a cramp in my leg that's killing me right now. Lord help us.
You can't do those sudden moves no more.
I'm about to be on injured reserve in a minute. I got a trailer horse in my thigh. Oh Lord, Jesus!
Live.
All right, we got to end this right now.
But
it looked like it's already ended for you.
Oh Lord!
But you know something? Though, speaking of other people who don't seem to learn their lesson, Tyreek Hill being investigated for assault. Right now, he didn't have a whole lot of trouble with domestic violence, before. And now you again, I just don't understand how these cats continue to get themselves in these same.
I got a chicken horse. I've been paid. Oh, wade in the water. Wade in the water.
Shit. We have to talk about Tyreek Hill next week.
Go get you some pickle juice. Get you some Gatorade.
I can't move my leg. Oh, what Tyreek Hill do? Tell me about Tyreek Hill. What he do?
He ain't got a Charlie horse.
Oh Lord, it ain't going away.
Bro.
I can't move.
Y'all ain't right.
You don't have one of the rollers ride?
I got a roller. I'm in my basement. Woo. All right, let me stand up here for a second. Oh no, that ain't good. That ain't good. Nope. Can't do that. Hey man, get us out of here. Take us home, D.
Take us home, D.
Come on, Dory. Get me out of here, bro. Oh Lord.
So because we have had a catastrophic injury on the set, we're gonna go ahead and end this now. We want to thank y'all for coming. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see y'all next week.
And if you don't like what we said today, kiss it. Go. See y'all later.
Don't blame it on sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. I don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Sunshine, moonlight, good times. Blame it on the boogie. Sunshine, moonlight. Boogie's got me in a super trance. Sunshine, moonlight, yeah. Good times, boogie. You just got that sunshine, yeah. Moonlight, good times,
Bruh.
It ain't going away. It won't go away.
That was a great episode.
Man,
It won't go away.
It's gonna go viral.
Oh, Lord. Oh, it won't go away. I can't move my leg.
Oh my God.
Oh, Lord. Stop the recording. Oh,
What we
Lord.
supposed to do?